If you've ever had issues with your displate artwork falling from walls, this might be a nice workaround for you. So just a little background, Displate sends you the artwork with magnets. The magnets have adhesive on the back. You peel the strip off, you stick the magnet to the wall. The art gets stuck to the magnet, it stays against the wall. There's lots of posts on a variety of websites that speak to magnets peeling off the walls and the display art falling. I've encountered this. It's damaged some furniture, so I've been trying to find a little bit of a workaround to resolve this. So online on Displate's website, they give you some recommendations of where the magnets work best, the type of wall, if it's painted, non-painted, etc. I believe my walls in my home meet all the criteria, but I've still been having issues with the magnets slowly peeling off and the artwork falling. I've also tried extra magnets. So, for example, the large magnets with Displate, I'm not sure the actual recommendation, but let's say they recommend 2. I would have 4 on the back of it to see if that would help with the art falling off the walls. That did not help. I still had issues with art falling off the wall with additional magnets put on the back. So there's a post on Reddit that has a little solution that I want to try out. That speaks to countersunk magnets being a possibility to hang your display art. So I jumped on Amazon. I found these countersunk magnets and purchased quite a few of them. So some things about the magnets. I read that magnets can be pretty brittle, so I bought a type that had a steel backing. Steel backing in theory helps it from the magnet from cracking. You can see that there's the hole through the magnet, and the ones I purchased came with some screws. So in theory, you put the screw through the magnet and you could drill that into something and attach, for example, a hammer or something, and use it as a hanger. So what I needed to do was find some wall anchors and some screws that would fit into these magnets, because these screws are a little too small. If I drilled this into my drywall directly, might hold because the display art isn't very heavy, but I want to be a little more secure. So I need to find some wall anchors that were the same size as these screws. So some things about the screws: you can't just go buy any wall anchor with screws. You have to make sure that they're similar to the screws that come with your magnets, or if your magnets don't come with screws, the one thing you want to do is make sure that whatever screw it is, that it sits flush with the magnet. You can't have the screw bulging out a little bit. So these are flathead screws, and they sit flush. So if there was a little raise portion popping out of this with the screw, it's going to decrease the surface area of the magnet that's touching the artwork, limiting how strong the bond is. So possibly increasing the likelihood of the art falling off the magnet. These magnets have a capacity of 95 pounds each, so that's well within the range of the display art, which I think peaks at maybe 5 pounds, but there's specific weights on their website. So after getting the magnets, the next step was to find the wall anchors. So I went to a local hardware store. This is the brand I bought. Again, the most important thing I was looking at was the weight. So these say they can hold 40 pounds. That's well within the range of the Displate artwork. But the other important thing was ensuring that the screws that came with the wall anchor were the same size as the screws that came with the magnets. So again, the flathead style, so they're the same, just larger and longer than those that came with the magnets. So these simply go into the hole of the magnet, and you can see that since they are the same style and the same size, they fit nicely. They're flush, they're not bulging out like I spoke of. So in theory, we drill a hole into our drywall, we stick our anchor in. When our anchor's in, we stick our screw in and screw it in, and the magnet is secured to the wall, and then we stick our art onto our magnet, again, increasing how secure the displate art is to the wall. So some tools that you'll need to do this are a drill. The drill bit here came with these screws and wall anchors. So you can drill pilot hole. So that would be the first step, would be we drill a pilot hole where we would want to put the magnet, where our art would go. So pilot hole is drilled, then we stick our anchor in. Sometimes you can just push the anchor into the wall and it will sit flush with the wall. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get the anchor all the way into the wall, so you might need to tap it with a hammer. So again, might not be needed, but I have one because sometimes you do need to tap the wall anchors to sit flush with the wall. So once the anchor is in place, then you would use just a screwdriver, and the screwdriver would just screw the screw into the anchor and the magnet to the wall. And it's recommended to use a screwdriver, a hand screwdriver, when you're putting the magnet to the wall rather than a power drill, because again, the magnets could be brittle and the likelihood of cracking the magnet is going to be higher using the power drill than the hand screwdriver. So I'm going to show you just how I install one of these displates to my walls now. So you can see here I have one displate already up with the two countersunk magnets behind it. I've put one countersunk magnet here for my next piece of art. I'm going to put another one here, another countersunk magnet down here. I'm going to show you the process of how I do it. So the first thing you want to do is obviously identify where you want to put your art on the wall. I already have lots of markings on the wall because I've taken this art up and down multiple times with the magnets that come with the art from Displate, the adhesive magnets. So I have markings exactly where the art's going to go, and I have my two markings where I want my countersunk magnets to go. So the first thing that I do is I use a stud finder. Make sure that there's no electrical lines where I'm going to drill my pilot hole. You don't want to drill through and hit a line and possibly harm yourself. And the other thing you would use the stud finder for was if I was going to put my magnet exactly here and there was a stud here, I wouldn't need to use the anchor because I would be drilling directly into wood. The anchor is only there for hanging the art directly to the drywall without the stud there going through the wood. So there is no stud here, so we need to use the anchor. So the first thing that we're going to do after identifying where our art's going to go and marking where we want our magnets to go is to drill our pilot hole for the anchor. So that's the first process. You're going to use your power drill. The drill bit that I'm using came with the anchors, so it's the perfect size for the anchor to fit into the pilot hole. So simple as that to drill the pilot hole. So we have the hole in the wall, and now we're gonna put our wall anchor into the hole. So just gonna push that in as far as I can get it. I usually can't get them all the way in to sit flush with the wall, so that's what the hammer was for. We're gonna use the hammer just to tap it a little bit, just so it sits perfectly flush with the wall. So it sits flush with the wall now. And now it's simply using the screws that came with the wall anchor and our magnet here, our countersunk magnet. So the screw goes in through the magnet like so. And now we're gonna use our hand screwdriver and screw that into the wall anchor. And again, we're using the handheld screwdriver because if you use the powered drill to put the screw into the wall, there's an increased likelihood that you could damage the magnet because the magnets can be brittle. So we'll just screw this into the wall. Now we have two magnets for a piece of art. I'll give you an up close, just give you an idea of what it looks like up close. So there's both of them with the one that's already there. They do sit off the wall a little bit more just because the magnets I bought were a little thicker. So that is one thing to think about, is just to give a comparison. Sorry for the shaky camera, but the adhesive style that comes with the art from Displate is gonna sit a lot closer to the wall just due to the thickness, and because of that, the art itself would sit closer to the wall. So if that's something you really care about, with the countersunk magnets that I have, you can see there's a little bit of a gap between the wall and the art. With the adhesive magnets, that gap is a lot smaller. Not something I'm worried about. I'd rather the art be secured to the wall rather than having no gap. So I'll put up the next piece of art just to show you, and that's the process basically. So next scene, I'll just show you putting it up. So here's a larger piece of art from Displate. I wear gloves just because I don't want to get my greasy fingerprints all on the front of the artwork. So I just wear a glove just when I'm arranging and making sure that art's all level. So simply attach it and position it to your liking. So it's not perfect right now, but that just kind of gives you an idea how easy it is to get it up with these magnets. So I'll play with it to make sure that it's completely level. I have another third one that I put up here. So that's basically it. Gives you an idea of how to install Displates with countersunk magnets that are screwed into the wall so they do not fall in the future.